Accounting and bookkeeping. So this is something that I think is pretty simple when you are just starting your private lending business. And when I say simple, I mean you don't necessarily need to hire someone when you're just starting. So, if you're starting with 1 or 2 loans per year, that's really something that you can track on your own on a nice spreadsheet. You can even have AI create a spreadsheet for you to track your expenses and profits so that, at the end of the year, you can generate your own profit and loss statement, making sure you account for taxes if applicable and any other, associated costs with getting your business started. That could be any licensing costs, any costs for insurance, costs for consulting attorneys, accountants, whoever. So, when you're in your early stages, you can really just stay organized with a spreadsheet. Use folders on Dropbox or Google Drive to keep track of all your invoices and receipts, all your documentation in terms of contracts and wire instructions and everything. Making sure that when you do have entries in your spreadsheet, you are separating repayment of principal from the interest or the fee payments, so that your books and your accounting can be accurate. So this is when you're early in your lending career, right? Not a ton of transactions. I would say honestly, even up to 4 transactions a year, just do it yourself. It's also just really good practice to make sure that you understand the numbers and the operations of your business. Now, when you start getting into much more frequent transactions or much larger amounts or much more complex transactions, then I suggest looking into a bookkeeping service or a bookkeeper. Now this can, and also a bookkeeping software. Now this can range you, for a software, I would say probably like $15 to $35 a month, depending on the type of software you decide to use. I use a couple of different softwares for my lending businesses. So I use Wave apps, and that one cost me, I think, $16 a month. And then I use QuickBooks, and those prices change, but I think it's like $35 a month. And I use these different ones because some of the bookkeeping I do myself. So with Wave, I do the bookkeeping myself, but with a different company, I actually have a bookkeeper and she prefers to work in QuickBooks. And so in addition to paying QuickBooks for that one, I also have to pay her monthly retainer. So, but that's because, either I don't want to do the work, or, my volume may be a little bit different than your volume. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're doing 10, 15, 20 loans per year, it might be a lot to keep track of, especially if you're working full time and, got a lot of other things on your plate. You may consider just hiring someone instead of trying to DIY everything. And then it makes it easier at the end of the year as well, because your bookkeeper can run reports for you, help you understand how your lending business did, and then it's easier for tax purposes as well.